All right. This one's we have a unique perspective on.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Am I the asshole for telling my super rich friend she is unbearable to hang out with?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Are we the super rich friend? Is that our unique perspective?
No.
Okay.
We're not rich. But
yeah, I was about to say,
yeah.
I had a fucking cup of ramen noodles for lunch right before this, so yeah. Okay, but I'm ready.
Okay. I mean, it is really self-explanatory, but I'll give some details. My bestie since childhood, let's call her Jenny, has her finances secured. She, 35-year-old, built and made an exit from a business, making her insanely rich. She comes from a very humble background, and I can confidently say that she has earned it by working for it.
Okay.
I come from a pretty average background and have a pretty average job today, and so do most of our friends. I don't miss anything, and I do have savings. I can go on trips, etc. Her story is a fairy tale, and we are all super proud of her, but a couple of years ago, she was approached by an agency that pushed her to become a public motivational speaker and podcaster.
Oh, okay. So that's all right. Interesting.
Since then, she has become increasingly unbearable to be around, and I eventually came to the point where I needed to tell her.
Fuck, I'm offended. I'm so offended right now. They're coming for us, Sarah. They're coming for us humble podcasters. I'm joking. I want to say for the record, I'm joking because I'm willing to bet this is a completely different case because if this is a motivational speaker, that's kind of, I'm also like, listen.
Shots fired in the podcasting community today.
Let's be fucking real. There's some podcasts I find annoying. I'm not going to stand up for all podcasts.
No, yeah, there's absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm willing to bet this motherfucker's annoying as hell.
For sure. Since Jenny got rich, she has always been herself, just in a more fancy package, and I've loved that for her. You go, girl. She has always been super respectful about other people's finances, and when we meet up, she's always up for whatever the rest of us can afford with. Even on her bachelorette party, she made a deal about making sure to do things everyone could afford. When pursuing her journey as a motivational speaker and podcaster, I had to revisit everything I thought about her. All of her motivational tips were related to not wanting to be an average person.
Oh.
And that anyone can become just as rich as her if they weren't lazy.
So, okay, wait. So this is also kind of like a griftery kind of thing then. If like in person, she's like normal and like being respectful about the wealth that other people have. But then you're going on your fucking ridiculous podcast.
Yes.
And you're just being a huge asshole. Like, you gotta just pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
And you can be just like me.
Yeah. In one episode, she talks about making sure to surround oneself with successful people to avoid looking at average people as a quote-unquote acceptable norm. She even
don't look at fucking normies. They're poor. You want rich, good, successful, good-looking people like me.
She even went as far as describing another friend's husband as her nightmare partner as he quote-unquote lacks ambition. She didn't mention him by name, but other details that made us able to identify him. Over time, this worsened, and eventually other friends stopped inviting her to things. Now the podcast took another turn, and she started to talk about how to handle when people turn your back on you for becoming successful and how, quote-unquote, lonely it is at the top.
What top?
I've never heard of this woman. Like, who is she?
What are you talking? Because, like...
The top podcaster.
What money is this fucker making?
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, like, come on. There's like, you're not a fucking... Oh, this story pisses me off.
Yeah, okay.
And it also, oh God, I have a lot of thoughts.
I know.
I have too many thoughts. And some of them are conflicting, but most of them are like, fuck this person.
Yeah, but decided it was time to tell her that she's losing grip of reality, and that if she continues with being so judgmental in her podcast, she will end up just as lonely as she describes herself to be.
Oh, this is about that makes sense.
Get dunked on. Jenny got super pissed at me and told me she wouldn't expect this from her best friend and claims I have been jealous and felt inferior to her my whole life, which is absolutely not true. She tells me the whole podcast thing is her playing a part and that she exaggerates her opinions for reach. She thinks I am the one who has convinced all the others to leave her side and wants me to apologize before ever speaking to me again. Help me here. Am I the asshole? Should I apologize? And I think, yes, you're the asshole because this is what happens when you start a podcast. This is the natural progression of things when you start a podcast. Everyone who starts a podcast is a little evil on the inside. They start it, and then you get 10 followers, and you get a big fucking ego, and you burn all your bridges with all your friends.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. And you gotta apologize. That's how mafia work in the podcasting industry. No, I'm joking.
No, yeah, this is a big bit. Yeah,
obviously not the asshole. Okay, she's a bitch.
Yeah, fuck her.
She sucks.
Okay, so yeah, here's my conflicting thoughts.
Yeah,
okay, because this is very minor. This is a very minor nitpick, right?
This is about watching the podcast and judging off whatever you see.
No, not at all. On our show, I just did 3 seconds ago, we'll not name drop, but we will talk shit about other fucking people, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
However,
we don't ever mean it, really.
Yeah, I never really mean it, and I never really, like, I will say verbatim, like I've said I have issues with other shows. I won't go super deep into it because I don't
Any of the ones
care.
We name, we don't really have an issue.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We're not trying to start drama.
No, of course not. So, and and I talk about my personal life, and I do talk shit about people I've known, people that I still not necessarily know now, but I've talked shit.
Yeah, we talk shit. Yeah.
However, if I get confronted about it, you bet your ass gonna be like, yeah, I was kind of a dick about that.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem here is that, okay, first of all, because this is a grift.
Yeah, she's grifting.
She's a grifter.
Lying. Well, but that's the thing. She says that she exaggerates her opinions.
So that's another problem.
Implies that the opinions are there.
It's true, but it's just let down.
It's not. She doesn't let it show.
So that's a problem. So it's hard. Okay, you and I both do this as our full-time job now.
Yeah.
And it is slightly more difficult to keep a sense of reality, quote unquote, or be down to earth and not out of touch because we don't go into the grind of a regular job. We don't have our normal, I used to work manual labor. I used to work at food service and shit like that. And I haven't done that for probably 6 months now. Yeah.
I have no idea what the job market is right now because I'm not looking because we have the privilege of supporting ourselves without being at a company.
Yeah.
And
only recently have we been reaching out to places to help monetize the podcast a little bit more.
They're still not really our boss.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing too is who the fuck reached out to this person? I think that's okay. So I have a problem with podcasts.
I have a problem with podcasting agencies that like a fucking big ass company that reaches out to some rando and is like, make a podcast about something.
Yeah, and
then makes that person feel like a big star, and then cuts them off at the end of a year. Because that keeps happening.
Yeah,
And you're manipulating that person. You're taking what they've created, you're giving them a couple thousand, some money to make a podcast. They now have this hobby that they think is going to be their career.
And then they get dropped off. Yeah.
You drop them. And you own all the rights to everything that they made.
That's the thing, yeah. And
that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem to me. And I think there's a lot of that too, especially with how podcasts are specifically podcasts that are in the personal finance and in the and that kind of genre, corporate podcasts. There's a sense to me of ill, of but you know what I mean? Cuz it's and I think because because to me it's grifty, that's my feeling on it.
I'm not saying what you're there's a sense of you need a level of authority, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's you have to prove yourself to be this financial guru.
Yeah, or if it could be a life coach or whatever, I guess.
Sort of an issue with self-help. A lot of these self-help people are grifters in themselves. I guess is
the problem, yeah. It's the self-help, it's the Jordan Petersons, you gotta just work harder, simpleton, and,
Yeah, the advice might be all right, but then also, who they are in their personal lives are not what they're saying in real life.
Yeah, and I don't really have a problem with being exaggerated on a show. I don't have a problem with even being reached out and joining a podcast network or working with podcasts ad agencies. We're talking with one right now, and they seem great for us specifically.
Well, they're a marketing firm though; they're not a network.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like we have a little bit more control over how we do our show in that sense. As opposed to if we went to a network and it's all right, you got to make sure you have have a podcast out every week,
Yeah.
and 3 hours is too long, so we're only gonna do an hour actually.
Right.
You
It's
know-
a creative. We value creative rights over how much money we're going to
Yeah,
make.
exactly.
We absolutely could have just done a full right wing turn grift.
Yeah, or start
Put out
shilling
30
out
minutes.
like
Put fucking mega ads on it, and we're just saying the most inflammatory shit
and
we could have done.
and I have a relatively I feel like we're a little bit lenient on ads. Like I think because I was talking with it, we had a meeting about this. Like I try not to do more than like one ad per 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair critique because I understand. Like, listen, I hate fucking capitalism. I hate I do need money to fucking live, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to completely shell out like like ad space to Google or something, where it's like, because like I've seen like videos where like they'll put a mid-roll ad placement like every 2 minutes, and it's like, no, I can't. I wouldn't do that.
Right. We operate on the rule of if I watched a video or I listened to a podcast where this was happening, would I continue to listen to it? Probably not.
Yeah.
So why would I put that on my own podcast?
You have to. There's a balance, and I think
But this, I feel like we've gotten off track, right?
I know, and I apologize, but I think I just want to preface that maybe that's my appeal to my own authority of like how I feel about that, because like like going back to this now with like someone comes into this person's life, the podcaster, and they're like, we're gonna give you a bunch of money, we're gonna let you have a show, and then they artificially have an inflated ego,
right?
Because they now have the backing of some company, and now they're able to, and they have to now think about like hearing about reach is crazy to me. Like I have to reach more people, and the way to do that is to be more bombastic or exaggerated.
Yeah, because we've never changed what we do to reach more people.
Yeah, which
even if we stopped cursing, we would probably reach more people.
Yeah,
not
that.
doing that
yeah,
shit.
Bullshit. Yeah,
the fuck? No.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
happening.
like it's like the sacrificing.
I'd be creating a new fucking canal in my brain. I've been cursing forever.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah, I can't not do that. We curse around your parents, around your family, all the fucking time.
Yeah, and I think like there's the real problem here is fuck the podcaster because they are a lying piece of shit who is like
promoting harmful ideology.
Things and also throwing their friends under the bus while still maintaining some facade almost of like like we're all still being friends and we're all being good and like I know you guys don't have a lot of money so I'll still be nice and like you're doing it. But if there's like a deep down, like these fucking poor motherfuckers, like can't even pay for an escape room, like you know what I mean, like
an escape room,
like God, we're doing drinks at the same Applebee's again,
it's
and it's like fuck you.
They can't go to like fucking Frou City or whatever. I don't know. Frou.
Sorry. Like what the fuck is that?
I don't know. Just like a fucking fancy town. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm trying to think of like a fancy restaurant. Can't Nobu? I don't know. It's like a fucking
Chili's.
LA place. Chili's. Cheddar's.
For
I don't
Applebee's. Yeah. No.
I have
but
no
like
idea.
Like I don't know. And I think like personally, and I guess this is why this is fascinating to me. It's like I don't want to like I do. I know that there's a lack of relatability that I have lost doing a podcast full time.
Yeah.
But like. I think it's more tragic for a podcaster or someone who's in a creative field to not fully understand what's going on in the world.
That is pretty.
And I think
pretty
that,
bad.
like you need a sense of reality to fully understand. Because like if let's think from like the shittiest perspective from a business, right?
Okay.
Not even a creative person. If you're a business, your whole goal is to be as relatable and marketable to as many people as possible to sell X product, right? Whatever. Who cares? So it doesn't matter what the product is. If you are the creative in that set and you're the business, don't you want to be as relatable as possible and understand? Wouldn't there be a want to know, even like a basic understanding of what's going on in the world and what normal people are going to in order to market to them?
That's kind of the evils of marketing, though. That's the
evil part. No, I'm not saying like this is a good thing.
No, because you're giving up your sense of self, everything that made you that would initially have created. I think that's why I get mad at companies that come in and inject a lot of money into somebody and try to make a person famous because like they didn't have the initial like, yeah, okay, you can create a business and you can exit out of that business and sell it and make a fuck ton of money and you're set for life.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a performer.
No, yeah, exactly.
Right? So then if a company comes to you and says, all right, we're going to make you a performer and, you know, this is going to be your new career and this is how you're going to sustain yourself for the rest of your life. It's like these fucking influencers that have like sisters or like, and then their sisters are influencers now.
Yeah.
Just because their other sister was a good performer and now you have to pretend to perform and do that.
Yeah.
It's fucking sad. If you're not good at it, you don't want to do it. You just like the money.
Yeah, and that's all you're thinking about or caring about.
And you're not excited to do the thing that you do that people watch and consume, and they're going to feel that, you know?
Yeah.
An audience is kind of like a baby where you're like, if the mother is depressed, sad, whatever, baby feels that. That's why people say like when you're in a shitty marriage and you think, oh, I'm going to stay together for the kids. The kids feel those emotions that you're feeling. And that's why it's better usually to get divorced in that instance, because then there's a possibility that kid's going to live in a healthy home. You might go through strife for sure. Yeah. But it might be emotionally more healthy for the child. And I don't fucking know any of that. Never been divorced, never been married, never had a kid. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
This is what I've heard. So that's it. But I mean, in this instance, like with an audience, they know when you're having fun. They know when you're depressed. They know what's going on. They know when you're having a struggle with your content. And why lie?
Yeah, you know, and like...
Why lie? You're just making shit worse for yourself.
And harder and more emotionally draining.
Unless someone's in your ear telling you to lie.
Yeah.
And if they're saying, no, you have to say more shit to get more reach.
The problem I have, is like...
With marketing,
Yeah, and like, I you know, it's a necessary thing to have sometimes, like, in order to... If you wanted to make a podcast your fucking career, there is a level of, like, give and take...
Yeah, I mean, not with platforming harmful ideals.
That's the thing, though. Yeah,
not with that. But there's a level of like you do have to like temper yourself a little bit. Like when we started, we were talking over each other all the time. Yeah, we still do it, but we don't do it nearly as much as we did when we started.
I feel like we don't do it nearly as much, but yeah.
And that was just like we learned as a skill. You know that. And I'm not saying we're perfect at it at all. We're not for sure. But like, you know, that's part of it. Or finding things that are interesting and like the things that we do on the show, it's something that we genuinely like and we want to do.
Yeah.
And we want to have fun and do this podcast.
Again, from the shitty business perspective, should be seen as a good thing because you're thinking long term as opposed to short term profit. Like you're not fucking Bitcoin pump and dump, you know? Like,
exactly. That's the thing. Like, why would you treat this business as like, okay, I have to be as beige and as white and as blonde as I possibly fucking can so that I can reach this specific audience? Like, why would you take an audience and be like, I have to change myself to fit in with that audience to get all of that audience to get the most money I possibly can?
Yeah.
And then your job is a chore. Like, the whole point of...
I thought the whole point of joining a creative career is not to have like a chore for a job, you know?
And then you just made your job a chore for selling yourself out for like as much money as you possibly can.
6 digits, you know, a month, like.
And it's like if you wanted 6 digits a month, learn a fucking skill.
Learn like
join another company. If you were cool with having a boss and being told that you need to change everything about your life and you need to wake up at 6 and go to bed at 7 and whatever, and who gives a shit? Join a company.
Yeah.
Just go do that, you know?
Yeah.
Worm your way into the corporate world. Why do you need to be shitting on this fucking art form? You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know. I do hate finance bullshit like that.
Yeah.
I will say, and I do want to talk about it, I cut off my family before doing this podcast. And then when I started doing the podcast, I cut off my family like a couple of episodes into doing this podcast, I think.
Probably, yeah.
It was right around the same time. And it became a thing where my family started listening to the podcast instead of talking to me about stuff. And then they would be like, I can't believe you said this on your podcast. And I was like, I'm learning.
I will say, people have also said, I can't believe you said this on the podcast to me as well.
And it's like, dog, I'm learning how to perform, man.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you text me first? You know? There's a little bit of that. I mean, I will say the shit that she's saying is garbage.
Yeah, so like you gotta bring it up. Yeah,
you definitely gotta bring it up.
And also, it is like bringing it up and talking to them about it, you know, as opposed to just like, yeah.
It's a little jarring to realize that the people in your life would rather just listen to the shit that you make online than actually talk to you. That's a little jarring.
Yeah, it's a little jarring.
It's a weird feeling that only podcasters know. I think. But it's also, everything that I say in a podcast, I take ownership of. If someone came to me and said, why the fuck did you say that? Which they have. I've been like, well, I fucking mean it. That's why.
Yeah.
I fucking mean it. That's what it is. And, we can talk about it and maybe you can change my mind or, whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can explain more why I feel that way. But yeah, I mean it. That's what it is.
Yeah, I get that.
Everything I've said about any of my friends, I would say to their face.
That's fair.
And my family, I would also say to their face. Which is kind of crazy if you go back and look at how much shit I've talked about these people.
No, I get it.
But I wouldn't shy away from it. I've been like, yes, no, this has happened. This is an instance where you hurt me and now we've moved past it. And I was just using it as an example
I feel
to
that.
help other people.
And I enter into a fugue state when I'm on the show. And nothing I say I'm accountable for or liable for. Just so everyone knows at home.
It's a fucking weird feeling. I could totally understand if this lady is like, why didn't you tell me about this so I could explain that I was joking?
Yeah, it was just a bit.
It was just a bit to get money. What are you talking about?
I just love money, guys.
but also it's hard as a friend of a podcaster to know what the true thing is and what the not true thing is.
What you're saying, It's rough.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know.
Fascinating.
Mainly I wanted to do that for the joke of like, that's what every podcaster becomes.
Yeah.
The funny, like you start a podcast and you get like 12
guys,
people listening.
Save this, bookmark this episode in particular. So 5 years from now,
when we're like, I'm the king and queen of podcasting.
When we're part of the 100 Thieves Cash App fucking whatever the fuck.
What the fuck? Raid Shadow Legends. I don't know. Something.
I can't joke about that too much. We're going to be doing host ad reads.
Yeah.
Fuck.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
We'll see what happens. But
actually, on that last episode, you guys went a little too hard on that.
We're backing out of the agreement.
Yeah, which, you know what, honestly, fair. If they brought that up, I'd be like, I get that.
I'm waiting for that email for sure.
Yeah, it's like, actually, we went into the back catalog.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
How dare you?
God.
I don't know. It's just, you make content, you put it online. Some of it is a part of you. Some of it is a performance.
Yeah.
So I think as an audience member, it's always good to know that the person that you're watching on screen, even if you know them in real life, is not the person that you know in real life.
IRL, yeah. There's a level of.
Also, the people that you know in real life, you don't know what's going on deep down inside of them. They could have these terrible fucking icky thoughts about you.
And you'll probably never know unless like it comes out somehow.
And that's just kind of, it's really unfair, but that's how life is. And it sucks. And I definitely don't think she's the asshole, though.
No, definitely not the asshole. Fuck that podcaster. They sound like the worst.
They do. And it makes fucking...
I can say that. I have a podcast. I can do it.
Extra special, that person's the asshole, the podcaster's the asshole, because you're making podcasting look bad, and now I have to deal with it as a podcaster. I have to deal with
this. Like, well, aren't all podcasts just like Joe Rogan?
Just like Joe Rogan, finance, bullshit, motivational speaker types? No.
Eyes rolling back in my own head when I hear that. Solved it, though.
But they're the ones making the most fucking money.
Yeah, those pieces of shit.